Hi, and welcome back to the study of the book of Leviticus. My name is Karen Schumacher. Today I'm going to walk you through chapter 19. Our theme is in relationship with our neighbors. Leviticus 19 begins with a command that sets the tone for everything that follows. You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Verse 2. Now, holiness is not just about avoiding certain behaviors. It's not merely about rituals and ceremonies or religious performance. Leviticus 19 shows us something far more surprising. Holiness is how you treat your neighbor when no one is watching. God draws a bullseye for his people, and the center of that target is love. The goal in our relationship is unmistakable. Not to take advantage, but to care. Not to hate, but to love. And God doesn't leave us guessing. He gives concrete examples of everyday situations where love either shows up or breaks down. So verses 9 through 15 really shows us what love looks like. These verses give us a pattern, a picture of holiness with work boots on. Verses 9 through 10, it's about caring, not taking. Leave the edges of your field for the poor and the foreigner. To us, that might sound like a small little thing, but imagine being a farmer in ancient Israel. Your field is your income, your security, your future. And God says, don't harvest all the way to the edges. Leave room for someone else to live. So it reminds me of a story of this lady who once shared this with me, that she was in line at the grocery store behind a young mom with 2 kids. And the mom's card kept declining. You could see the panic rising in her face, the embarrassment, the fear, the exhaustion. And this woman who was behind her said she felt 2 impulses at the same time. The first was to sigh and look at her watch and be annoyed. And the other was to step in. She told me, I realized in that moment that this was the edge of my field. It was $50. She paid for the groceries. The young mom cried and she said, I didn't do anything heroic. I just didn't harvest everything for myself. That is Leviticus 19. Love shares. Love leaves margin. Love makes room. In verse 11, we talk about honesty, not deception. Do not steal, do not lie. God's people don't use manipulation, half-truths, or strategic silence to get ahead. Love tells the truth even when the truth costs something. Verse 13, fairness, not exploitation. Do not withhold wages. Don't delay what you owe. Don't use your position to squeeze someone who can't push back. Love pays what it owes on time, in full, and with integrity. Verse 14, protection, not cruelty. Do not curse the deaf or trip the blind. This is cruelty disguised as humor. Mocking someone who can't hear you, stumbling someone who can't see you. God says holiness protects the vulnerable. Love never targets weakness. Verse 15, justice, not favoritism. Do not show partiality to the poor or favoritism to the great. Love doesn't bend truth based on status. It doesn't treat people differently because of what they can do for you. Every law in this section asks one question. Are you using your power to care for your neighbor or take advantage of them? And the whole hinge of this passage is that love does not harm or ignore verse 16. You shall not go around slanderer among your people, and you shall not stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am the Lord. This is the center of this passage, the warning that shows us what love does not do. The first, love does not destroy with words. Slander is harvesting your neighbor's reputation. It's taking something that isn't yours, their dignity, their story, and using it for yourself. And we can do it in ways that are pretty explicit. Hey, did you hear about what happened with so-and-so? Or we might do it in an implicit way. I'm just so concerned about so-and-so. Or let me share a prayer request about what's going on over here. We dress gossip up in spiritual clothing. But every time we peddle someone else's failure, we take advantage of them. Love doesn't traffic in gossip. Love covers. Love rebukes honestly, not assassinates secretly. verse 17. And the second thing is that love does not stand by when harm happens. Do not stand against the blood of your neighbor. Literally, don't stand on your neighbor's blood. In court, you stood to testify, so this forbids false witness. But it is bigger. Don't stand by when your neighbor's life is at risk. Slander is active harm. Silence is passive harm. Both miss the target of love. You can avoid lying, stealing, and cheating and still fail at love if you watch your neighbor bleed out physically, emotionally, spiritually, reputationally, and do nothing. Think about the Good Samaritan. 2 religious men passed by. They didn't beat the man, but they didn't help him either. Love refuses to be neutral when harm is happening. And then God signs his name to this command, I am the Lord, because this is who he is. He didn't slander us before the Father. He didn't stand by while sin took our blood. He stepped in. And verses 17 and 18 are the heart of the matter. You shall not hate your brother in your heart. Hatred isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like avoidance and silence or indifference, holding a grudge. You can keep your hands clean of slander while your heart is full of hate. But then comes the command, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Think about how we naturally protect ourselves, provide for ourselves, defend our names, fight for our lives, and God says, do that for your neighbor. Biblical love is not a feeling, so let's look at what it does do. In verse 17, it rebukes honestly. Love cares enough to have the hard conversation with our family, our friends, our neighbors. In verse 18, it releases vengeance. Love refuses to settle the score. Also in 18, it treats others as yourself. Love gives others the same care you would give you. And this is the DNA of holiness. But here's the problem. Leviticus 19 shows us the target, but we keep firing wide. We take advantage, we slander, we stay silent, we hate in our hearts. And that's why the gospel matters. Jesus didn't teach Leviticus, he lived it. He left the edges of heaven for us, the poor and the foreigners. He refused to stand against our blood, he shed his own. He didn't bear a grudge against his executioners, he prayed, Father, forgive them. He who perfectly loved his neighbor was cast outside the city gates. Hebrews 13:12, taking the punishment for all our hate. And because he did, Hebrews 10:10, we have been made holy. Now, holiness isn't just a command, it's a condition he gives us. And by his Spirit, we begin to love as we never could before. John 13:34. So as we have this final challenge, I want you to aim for the target. And I want you to think about these questions. How are you relating to your neighbor? Are your words helping or harming? Are you stepping in or standing by? Are you caring or taking advantage? I knew a person who his neighbor had knocked on his door late one night. The neighbor was embarrassed, apologetic, almost whispering. He said, I'm so sorry to bother you, but my wife is sick, and I need someone to watch our kids while I take her to the ER. Now this man, everything in him wanted to say no, not tonight. He was tired. He knew he had to get up early the next day for work. He had things to do, but then he remembered the passage. Do not stand against the blood of your neighbor. So he stepped in, and he watched the kids, and he prayed with them. And later that evening, the neighbor told him, you didn't just help us, you saved us. Sometimes love looks like a late night knock. Sometimes it looks like an inconvenience. Sometimes it looks like stepping in when you'd rather step away. So check your field. Where are you taking everything? And what margin of time, money, or energy needs to be left for someone else? Check your tongue. What story have you been peddling? And who needs you to speak for them instead of about them? And then check your heart. What grudges are you nursing? Hate makes us take advantage, while love moves us to care. Because the target is clear. Love your neighbor, not just in feeling, but in action, in speech, in courage. And so our closing thoughts from Leviticus 19:16, it teaches us that love is not just avoiding harm, it is refusing to ignore it. And Leviticus 19:18 completes it. You shall love the neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. This is who God is, and through Jesus, this is who we are becoming. Thank you.